Yo, Diego, what's up, man? What's up, guys? How is anybody available on no notice like that on a Friday afternoon? I guess in Europe it's what, like 8:30 p.m. Here's the thing. I upgraded my StreamYard here, and there's supposed to be a way to add a second camera, but that would require knowing what to do. Which I do not. So, let's see. Do I have to do it the old-fashioned way? Who knows how to use StreamYard? Anybody in the chat know? Here, let's just do it. I guess this time we'll do it the old-fashioned way. So we make it some echo here in a second as I set up. Yeah, see, that's no good. I'm going to mute that. We'll go with this one, overhead. Full definition, 1080p. Audio, yep, I guess that'll do it. And whammy. All right, so hang on. There we go. There we go. Any echo? Anger worm. Come on, man. Don't you have a job? It's Friday, middle of day. What's your excuse? You're in the Americas here. There's no excuse. You should be working. Here we go. All right. So the wife's sick, baby's sleeping. So we'll do some card stuff here. Yeah, I got to figure out how to add the second camera seamlessly. Be much, much better. I had two choices. I could have hung this thing up because I bought a little device tool thing, and I opted not to do that. I figured we'll look at some cards here and just talk about sorcery a little bit. So if you guys have a topic you want to talk about, we can do that. I was going to make a video about curios, but I didn't feel like doing that either. I like to do live stuff. So we're just going to mess around a little bit and take a look at some cards, maybe sort some cards. I have these old playtest cards, which I think I've kind of shown here and there on the channel on some of my intros for the sample break. And by the way, I think there's going to be a sample break on Sunday. Sunday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern time, probably. The wife's a little sick, as I mentioned, and we just got to kind of see what happens with that. All right, so I'm going to try to get that scheduled. That'll be sample break number 15. 15th sample pack that's broken on the channel, and then we'll have 16 is now open. I think 11 of the 15 slots are currently sold. Let's see, how do we want to... I think I might have already sorted these. Let's take a look at what we have here. So these are some of the early playtest cards from Sorcery. There were the print and plays from one of the early employees and game designers. So they're the old versions of the cards, right? Like we have the old this was pre-alpha playtest. So you have the old version of Eric's Curiosa, and I might have... Let me see if I have an Eric's Curiosa laying around. Yeah, I do. All right, so I think I have an Alpha Curiosa. You can see the difference here. This is the current version. It is in Alpha and Beta. Well, Beta is a Curio, I guess. But in Alpha, you have this rip Eric's Curiosa pieces to pieces effect, and then you have the early version playtest with the deeply rounded corners and the old effect where you summon in the corner of the void. When the Curiosa is picked up for the first time by an avatar, that avatar's owner draws 3 spells. This destroys the Curiosa. All right, so there's the old one. I actually have 2 copies of those, apparently. Both signed. You can see the color deviation. So that's pretty cool. Let me put that aside so I don't get these mixed up. We got the Curiosas. Yeah, old format. So cards that are not in alpha, that seems to be all the rage. I just stumbled upon this awesome video that someone posted in the Sorcery community group, and there's a guy named what is the name? Contested Cards, I think. It was his first ever video. He's only got like 50 some subs. You guys should check him out. It's a really good video. He's got a killer accent, like the most perfect accent for the History Channel doing documentaries. And he did this like Arthurian Legends thing that was kind of like a document, and it kind of showcased a lot of the art that I uncovered and put on the Collector Arthouse website in the early days when it was like pre-alpha and we didn't know which cards were going to be used for alpha versus whatever future sets, right? We didn't even know about Arthurian Legends at that time. So some of these artworks, were discovered. We know these were commissioned for the game, like this one, Book of Kells from Francesca Berald, and some of these have shown up as sample cards. So there was a Book of Kells sample card like this. This is just a playtest card, not the sample card printed from a Chinese factory. That was auctioned, I think, it was pre-alpha. It was probably like 2022. Man, was it Kickstarter in March of 2022? It might have been like early 2022. And I think that might be the only one that's been discovered of the Book of Kells. So we got the old Eric's Curiosa. These are all the bangers that I set aside, really. So we got the Philosopher's Stone. This one the guy featured in the in his video. He said it was revealed by Red Zone Rogue, but Red Zone Rogue actually took my picture that I had posted because it had the what is that playmat? The Screaming Skull by Melissa Benson. So it was a photo of this, the base of Babel and the apex of Babel, which I think was commissioned as Tower of Babel. So it was a singular painting. This is one painting that was purchased from Dan Seagrave, and then I resold it to Red Zone Rogue, actually. So he owns the original painting. But he showed a picture of this card, and this is what the painting looks like, basically. It's like one tower, amazing Dan Seagrave vibe to the background and the detail of the tower itself, basically like a tower of skulls and things. And not skulls, really, but it just has like this dark, macabre type vibe to it. And yeah, this was, let's see what it does. A unique and impossibly massive sight. The base gives 2 mana instead of 1 if the apex of Babel is directly in front of it. All right, so that's the base. So you got to position these on the realm to align to each other for the effect to take place. And then the apex gives, you see it says 3 mana, and it's like handwritten by Rafa. Like as he was designing it, they were tweaking the mana cost to play this, or how much mana it would yield. So that was adjusted. It looks like it might have said 2 before, and he overwrote 3 with a marker. The apex gives 3 mana instead of 1 if the base of Babel is directly behind it. So you got to align it to get that effect, and it gives that extra mana yield. So I guess it was a little problematic in early playtest design, and it was not used in alpha, but you got to imagine that's going to be introduced at some point. It could be, I don't know, Arthurian Legends, it doesn't seem, what is this? Oh yeah, I got it. Thanks, Sean. If Sean's watching. I got a card to send to Sean here pretty soon. Yeah, I'm getting all these announcements and things. All right. So then we have the avatars. And I think I showed this at the intro of one of the sample breaks that I did. We have the inverted full art avatar in the back. So this, in alpha, these show up as foils on the front. They're only foils in the core set alpha, in the alpha booster packs. They're not in beta at all. So they were kind of retired and memorialized into alpha, which is pretty cool. And the backs have the full art as shown. The interesting thing is the sample cards for these. There was, in the pre-constructed decks, there were these sample cards, right? There were packs, sample packs, and then also sample pre-constructed decks. Very few of those distributed. Only a handful of people probably own those. And in those, they were the pre-con decks, right? So there was one avatar of each of the decks in each of those decks, 4 decks, right? Just like the pre-con kits that came to be in the Kickstarter and alpha debut. And they had the regular face like this and full art backs, coincidentally, in the sample pre-cons. And I auctioned, which one was it? The Avatar of Earth, I think it was. So that was pretty cool. That was, again, ages ago. And there you have the Avatar of Water. Next, the counter spells. So the counter spells are super cool. We have the 2 from Doug Kovacs. All of this artwork not yet used in the game. The Doug Kovacs. Then you have the Francesca Berald ordinary counterspell. A couple copies of those. Really cool one here, the Elite Counterspell by Margaret Organ Keane. And the Pudge Butcher. Speaking of which, so I got let's see. I guess I don't have it handy, but Brian Smith just sent me a signed Pudge Butcher. Kind of an inside joke because I think this artwork is absolutely hideous, and I'm always busting his chops about it, saying, "Dude, come on." But it is funny, and yeah, I guess it's inverted again too. So these are kind of jacked up the way it was printed. The Pudge. Oh yeah, Anger likes the Pudge. All right. So one of the best artworks by Matthias Frisk. I think, yeah, I did start organizing these. So let's set those aside. I think these two I set aside. Here's an interesting little relic. Pudge's Love. Upwelling, right? Upwelling is an artwork by Alan Pollock, right? So in the early print file, there was a misattribution here, and it says art by Elvira Polakowska. And I think, let me see if I could add the website here. There's a story behind, I think there's a story behind why that is. So let me share my screen and we'll see if we can uncover that a little bit. So we're going to go to screen 2. Wrath of the Sea. Yeah, possibly the best art in the set. That's pretty epic. All right. So I should probably get off Facebook because people are always DMing me. So we want to go and look for the Upwelling, right? So let's go to the collectorarthouse.com website. And if you go to Sorcery Art Gallery Unconfirmed. So these were a bunch of artworks that I discovered across the artist's social medias that are commissioned for sorcery but not yet used in the game. So in the Arthurian Legends feature that I discussed, this one was called Black Knights by Brian Smith. So we could see a Black Knight or Knights from Brian emerge in that set potentially. And of course there is a Black Knight myth or whatever in Arthurian lore. There's your Tower of Babel. See what I mean? It's a singular painting, Seagrave. Most of his paintings in Alpha are all 8x10 or I believe 9x12. So it's kind of a smaller size relative to some like that. That's the other extreme opposite. But a lot of the paintings in Alpha are surprisingly larger than your traditional TCG. You see in Magic now they're starting to do larger sizes. There's some really interesting artworks here. But right here we have this one. Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought that this was Upwelling, but actually this was commissioned from Elvira Polakowska, and it is Wrath of the Sea, right? So we have a potential alternate art candidate or curio with Wrath of the Sea. And that looks like it was built into the famous wave painting, that a lot of artists draw inspiration from. Really awesome classical historic painting. It's kind of inverted, I think, and the wave goes the other way. So it's a new take on it. It's pretty cool. It's kind of sucking down this tower. So it makes you wonder what the commission... let me see if I have in my interview from Matthias Frisk. I can't remember. Let's go to the interviews page. I can't remember if I asked him. I think I did ask him about the commission guidance for Wrath of the Sea. Because, I was noticing it was interesting that they both have this big, epic monster wave swallowing this small town, right? So Truett was the first interview I did. Yeah, here we go. Matthias was like the 5th artist that I interviewed. So a lot of interviews here on the website that are really cool. And these are really old guys. So March 2022, very early days of sorcery. So I think a lot of people, coming into the game don't realize this resource exists. It's kind of cool if you get into the art and you want to learn more about the artists themselves. And let's see. I know here we go. Wrath of the Sea. All right. So I asked him, on the other hand, Wrath of the Sea seems fairly different from some of your heavy metal album work. So Matthias was discovered because of his heavy metal album work. Eric's into heavy metal. That's how he found Matthias. And I asked him, what artistic direction were you given for this? And how did the concept evolve into the final piece? So Matthias says, the brief was to make a city engulfed by huge tsunami-like waves that would have some kind of sea monsters appear in them. The image is more gamish than the others I did. Yeah, so if you take a close, this is a freaking absolutely amazing painting. There's so much incredible detail here and nuance and like the waves and the dark like undertone, indicating maybe something evil lurks beneath, or maybe there's some sunken ships here rocked by the waves. You see there's some being swallowed by the wave. And here is the town. This is from a town in the village of Scannage, where he's from. And up in the waves here, something that often goes overlooked, and it's probably hard to see because it's probably coming across kind of small. Let me see if I can zoom a little bit. Yeah, this site's weird. It zooms the actual site behind it, but not the image. But there's like these monsters in the wave, as he talks about up here. You see the eyeballs and kind of like the mouth, and up here too, a little more faintly. So it's kind of, you know, the wave tsunami consuming the town and the ships and just rocking their world. So in Elvira Palakowska's take, you see a lot of similarities. So you have this massive tsunami-like wave engulfing the town. Now the guidance here, I can't tell in this one. Oh, I can zoom on this. I wonder if I can do that on the other. I can't tell if there's sea monsters in here. It doesn't appear so at first blush. So I wonder if that was revised guidance or a new idea that Eric had as they went back and forth on the concept. But that is this is a really nice one by Elvira too. Yeah, really interesting, different take on that I could totally see being used in potentially a revised set, or I don't know, like a curio or alt art or something. Who knows? Maybe a promo. Something interesting. All right, what's up, Richard? Cardboard Guide, how you doing? Isaac Kenneth. The Alchemist Sean, what's up? What is this? Detectando la Tierruca. Numismatica. What's up? Detectando? We're getting the Europeans, you know, because it's like a middle afternoon on a Friday here in the U.S., East Coast at least. So cool looking at the playtest cards. Yeah, we're going to get back to the playtest cards in a moment. Diego, Shadow Cloud, Jeff Toohey was the first in the chat. All right, so we went on a little tangent. Let me remove the website. Yeah, and go back to the overhead and get back to some of these playtest cards. So we had that one. And there you go, guys. That's why we had the artist misattribution. Because this was probably, again, this is very, very early days, pre-alpha. Well pre-alpha. Well before the Kickstarter launched, even. And this card was attributed to Elvira Palakowska because she was probably working with a template, her and Eric, to kind of position a layout of her, presumably maybe her Wrath of the Sea, since I guess she didn't have an alt art for Upwelling. But anyway, Alan has that one Upwelling. And then this one here, this was kind of funny because the way I discovered this was a misprint is I was sharing this card, and I think like I had posted on my website because in the print file it said Jeff Menges, and it totally looks like artwork that Jeff might do. Almost, you know, it's a little different style. Obviously, all the artists have a very unique and different style. But I posted this on my website, and Jeff was looking at his page. I have a page, you know, my website's organized by artist, so you go and you look and filter by artist, and you find Jeff Menges, and this one was listed there, and he reached out to me and he said like, hey, that one's actually not mine. So I looked into it. I contacted Eric, and he was like, yeah, that's a mistake we had in the file. We'll get that corrected. And this is Asi Haikala did this one, which is really cool. It's very underrated. You have the funny nuance here is you have this guy on his tippy toes looking up at the paperwork here that the surveyor's looking at. So, and it's just awesome, the old school, like farmers just chilling, taking a break, leaning on their hoe tool or gardening hoe or whatever the hell that is, some kind of rake, just taking it in, seeing what's going on. The Royal Surveyor. All right, so that's pretty sweet. Wrath of the Sea. I'll try to follow on to chat a little bit too if you guys want to talk about something different. It's kind of like an impromptu hangout. Had some special circumstances. All right, so Wrath of the Sea. There's one signed, one not signed. And here you have in parens, it looks like, you know, they marked up where they were making changes. You have a casting cost change. So interesting. It was, let me go to the website again. I'm curious what the current casting cost is. If I wasn't a filthy collector, I would know this off the cuff. But I've put in limited hours playing. I have played though. I have played. Beautiful game. Really fun. All right, so look. It's now 7 and 2 threshold as marked here in alpha. So this version shows that this was even earlier. This one was originally being play tested with. And what was it? It's hard to tell what it was prior to that. It looks like this is a printed 6 on this one. and overwritten with a 7 to kind of test the increased mana cost. Here you have the 6 casting cost that preceded that, and they did land at 7 for the final version. And the text here is totally different, you know. So this was in the early days. It now says in alpha, flood all sites adjacent to a body of water this turn, then submerge all minions and artifacts on water. It used to say sites near water also become water sites until end of turn. Submerge any minions and relics on water sites. And then in parens, minions without the submerge, there's a typo there, ability drown and die if they are submerged, which goes without saying. You know, that's one of the rules in the game now. So that was also changed. You got to lean on a hoe every now and then. Hilarious. All right. So moving on, let's see. So I did have, these were the high-end cool cards. Those were the Artist Miniature Attribution cards. And I guess I did have these organized. So let's keep going with Matthias cards. So we have the, I think I did this on video ages ago. That's pretty much the same effect, but written quite differently. Yeah, they definitely streamlined the language, thank God, on the card. So it isn't like a whole paragraph to kind of figure out what the hell it does. But similar effect. So yeah, a bunch of copies here of the scored zombies. It's kind of interesting. Remember when you saw the avatars, they were like super rounded corners. These are a little less rounded. And speaking of rounded corner theory, I mentioned early with the alpha precons, there was the precons, and then there was the silver sample packs, as some of you guys who've been around a long time remember, and then there was the art packs, right? And the art packs are very, very rare because those were not distributed as part of the Kickstarter. The Kickstarter had the silver packs without the game artwork printed on the pack. But before that, they had the art packs with the actual game art like you see in alpha, except it says first edition test on the back. Actually, I think I have a few. Yeah. Let's see. No. Do I got it? Well, anyway, here's a silver pack, right? So you got, these are the Kickstarter distributed ones. The ones in the US had the void sticker on the front and then barcode on the back. All right. There was another one with art. I have one laying around somewhere. On the back, it says first edition test, I think is what it says. And then it has a different game slogan, as I recall, on the back lip of the pack, under the lip of the pack. So if you were to peel that up, this one doesn't say anything, I don't think, right? Nope, that's blank. On the art pack, there is a little slogan there that's pretty cool. The other thing now is, why was I talking about the sample packs? I guess with the, oh, right, the corners of the cards. So there is some that say, from credible sources, that there were these silver packs that preceded these, and maybe even preceded the precons. They're thought to be the first ever print of sample cards by the company to actually test the print quality. But there were a few booster boxes from what we understand. Not 100% validated, but we believe maybe a few booster boxes worth printed, some given out to some friends of Eric and various folks. And I think I had some of those in the early days. I know I sold one as a sealed pack. I did a break of one early on. So I had several of these in my possession, and I auctioned all those individually. But what some people are saying is that the corner roundness had changed from the very first print of sample packs. And then when they went to probably the precons, and I believe definitely the ones that were printed for, yeah, it pays to be a friend of Eric. I believe he's given away a few paintings and sample packs and things, you know. They're out there. But they're still extremely rare, extremely scarce. But the corner roundness did change, from what we understand, from the first ever print to the Kickstarter version of the sample cards that were printed and given out to the high backers of Kickstarter. All right, so we have a couple of minor explosion. This is absolutely incredible. I'm so fortunate to have seen this painting in person. Sold it pretty early on. So by today's valuation standards, I think that was a steal. Like art valuations have really screamed higher in Sorcery. And it's really great to see for the artists. They're doing very well, which is great. And thanks to everybody that supports them. I cut my finger a little bit there. So it's great to see art thriving, and it was painful to ship that one off. But I got to see that one and Exorcism in person. Then, of course, the Flash Fires, or Flash Fire, exceptional. That's the last from Matthias. So I don't have all copies of the playtest cards, but I do have a pretty nice variety. We got the Clamor Harpies. So let me see. As I go through here, I'm going to go to the artist page and just have a quick glance maybe at how some of these have changed. Yeah. So Clamor Harpies, the title right off the bat, that changed to Clamor of Harpies. It stayed as an exceptional. Pretty different kind of artwork from Francesca. It's pretty cool. Here you have, these ones are really interesting that have the heavy markups. So if we look at her Blink card, you see the mana cost was kind of played with in early development. It looks like, again, with the permanent marker override, it was something other than 2 to cast. I can't tell exactly. It might have been free to cast. It looks like a 0, possibly a 0, overwritten with a 2 and 2 threshold, right? But in the end, for alpha, it was 2 and 1 threshold. So that changed a bit, and you see how they cleaned up the text. So there's a lot of change in the text of the card between playtest through there was several, actually. For those that are around playtesting in the early days, there were several issuances of the print files for the home print to play. And people were playing with those, so there was change going on through each of those files. It was really interesting because we were seeing new cards introduced, cards taken away, and then we were speculating on which would actually land in alpha. And, that spawned some articles I had written ages ago, like mid-2022, May 2022. Really, a lot of the articles on my website, let's take a quick look here. They date back to that era. If you go to I'm going to keep that page alive, but the interviews and articles page, there's a lot of articles here. And when I had more time before I started moving into other initiatives and all these lives I'm doing and stuff lately, the content's really evolved. It started with this website and the interviews. So look at this, January of 2022. Man, almost 2 whole years ago. Absolutely insane. We're in February of 2024. So it is 2 years. So that's when I interviewed Truitt, man. And Truitt's been on the channel a few times. I actually have a video where I did an interview with him, and we talked about the concept and idea he had behind every single card he has in alpha. So there you go. First interview was Truitt. Then I talked to Alan Pollock, Jeff Menges, Kyle Calazans, Matthias Frisk, Brian Smith, Vincent Pompetti, Drew Tucker, and then, my guy, Andrea Modesti, man. Love Andrea. But I did this article here in May of 2022 speculating about Arthurian legends. And that's the video. So I did this. I was speculating that Arthurian legends could be a thematic set and looking at all of some history about all the characters in Arthurian legends. And then based on the artwork that I was discovering that we weren't seeing in cards yet, I was kind of speculating on how they could be used, or talking about the lore, like what these characters did in the lore. And that's what this video that this guy did recently was about, which it's really awesome. He brought it to life in video form and made a really, really interesting video. And like I said, his voice is pure gold, so it was a pleasure to listen to. So yeah, this is an amazing one by Brian Smith, sorry. I don't expect this one to be in... I have a Spellcraft version of this one. Should I go to the Spellcraft binder? That'd be pretty sick. I'm all over the place. You never know what might happen live. So I'll show you a Spellcraft of this one in a minute, but this artwork is sick. It doesn't seem to have anything to do with Arthurian lore. So I'm not sure we'll see that. I think there's rumor of an Angels and Demons, or like a darker set of that ilk, that you might see that in. Black Knight seems highly probable. Anyway, I'm going way off the rails here. Let's go back. We were looking at the articles. Yeah, I did an interview with Marta, Heidi Talifer, who's going to be introduced in Arthurian Legends, I'm pretty certain. Mikhail Nagy-Paul, amazing artist. All right, so going back, Lindsay Krumet. All right. We got an article on Curios. Spam call. Articles on the Alpha set. All right. So, first era card. This was an interesting time. I think I did a video on this one too. I had a copy of this card, I believe. I might have auctioned one of these. So we had the Atlas Wanderers by Brian Smith, and Let me see. There was another card that emerged, and what happened here, as I recall, I think there was a mix-up. I thought it was with, yeah, Tony Sudlow's Radiant Titan. So in this image, let me zoom so you guys can see it. It says, Elite Mythics and Eternal Bearers of the World. That's the type line text for Atlas Wanderers, or what it was at that time. But then you have splash damage. Genesis, this Titan deals 7 damage on the site in front of it. So there's a sample card of Atlas Wanderers that has the game mechanic for Radiant Titan by Tony Sudlow. So it's pretty interesting. Then here you have the, this was the print file version at the time. So it's actually not even the alpha version. You could tell it's got the copyright symbol down here. And it says Atlas Wanderers, so these elite mythics take the weight of the world. So we had a type line text change already, pre-alpha there. And these wanderers can move to a void, carrying their site with them as they move, right? So this is the digital image that we had of the card from the print file. But this tells you that the print file had an issue. And there were templates that were used in the early art production of the game. The artist would do the painting and then stage it against a certain template, right? So I had several from Severin, who's one of the artists that I work with, Severin Pignot in France, and she showed me several images of paintings she had done that actually reused multiple times the Wolpertinger, the Wolpertinger, the Trill Wolpertinger artwork that we have not yet seen in alpha. So if I go to Facebook here, I know I featured it on my website or on the Sorcery Contested Realm community page. So just go, this is what you can do, guys. You go to the Sorcery Contested Realm community group page, creeping up on 3,600 members, which is awesome. There's this little search icon, and you just type what you're looking for. You're going to find like so much awesome historic content in this group from all the stuff that not just me sharing, but like many of the community members posting things. So this is the original painting over Wolpertinger, Trill Wolpertinger. It's probably, maybe it's Wolpertinger. I don't know. But some beautiful framing. Here you go. So here it is. Here's the example. There's the original painting that I have for Kythera Mechanism, which was known as Predestination. One second. Predestination, right? It was Predestination. It was Trill Wolpertinger, technically, digitally. But we have Predestination. And then we have this template, right? So the Trill Wolpertinger. And check this out, guys. We're seeing this. We had evidence of curios long before there were curios. So I had this image from Severin. This is just a digital mock-up. But check out some of the things we came to see in curios. Legendary Being, right? So Legendary Being, we saw that both in Spellcraft and in some of the curio cards. For example, here, it's small, I know, but you have a legendary site, right? So that rarity of legendary was a thing. And we see it in the curio cards, and we see it in the early digital archives. Long live Z's. Z's, baby. Sick cunt Z's. Oh, man. Z's is a legend, no doubt. All right. Trill Wolpertinger, Legendary Being. You had the different symbols for the mana, the Roman numerals. These are all things we came to see on curio cards, which is incredible. So it gives these 3 different thresholds. Each give Wolpertinger an additional attack and shield, right? So my point was she was using this template just to show her artwork cast across the text box of the card title and then the bottom type line text with the game mechanic text, right? So there's the example. But we were looking for the Wolpertinger. There's a sample card variant in here somewhere. There you go. There's a nicer image. Oh, wait, here's the card. Damo. What do you know? What are the odds, man? Damo pulls one. Damo speed. Trill Wolpertinger, right? An exceptional relic beast of tooth, claw, and horn. This is the exceptional that we're chasing, guys. This one and the gems, the core cards, they were called gems when they were in sample card form. So they show up as exceptionals in the sample packs, and the Trill Wolpertinger is probably one of the best exceptionals you can pull. This is like pulling Time Stop in the unique slot, like I did a few weeks ago. Epic moment for the channel there. All right, so there you go. You got the Wolpertinger. You got a little background on the templating and how that worked. And let me just show it, because I'll be shipping this one away. I helped with a middleman deal. I just happen to have this eBay case from something else. But there you have the incredibly impossibly rare Predestination sample card. Unique, quick magic of an artificial fate. You determine a random outcome. Let us go where fate directs us. Art by Severin. Copyright symbol. That's usually the easiest tell that it is a sample card and not an alpha card. Of course, we know that this card does not exist as Predestination in the game. It was changed to Key Theorem Mechanism. Same artwork. I showed a picture recently on the Facebook group. The artwork, and I have the original painting, so I discovered this when I acquired that. It was pretty interesting. The artwork is inverted, reversed, and then inverted like this, and then reversed, right? And that's just the direction that they decided for the card, and it looks really beautiful, really nice. And you have these like deeper blues. There's a different aesthetic that it went for the card relative to. So I can't like really just do that and say that that is the painting. It's actually upside down, inverted like that, but also reversed. Like the leaf makes a little J type angle like that on the original painting. So you can see that picture that I posted on the community group and the Collector Arthouse Discord recently. But that is an absolute god tier card. There's a 5-figure card. Big deal. Big deal that I'm just helping out on between two whales splashing around out there in the ocean. I auctioned 2 of those babies, and then I helped the guy resell it to a very passionate collector. All right, Replication. So beautiful artwork by Francesca Berald. One of my favorites from her. This is really awesome. Of course, we have her beautiful avatar. It's kind of one of the faces of the game, you know. So this one's a big deal. It's used on a lot of the promotional material. So that's really cool. And of course, she did the spell back and the atlas back as well. The Narcotic Manuscript. Really awesome one. I think I sold a artist proof of this one recently. So I have 1 artist proof left from Francesca, and she'll be doing more eventually. She's just extremely busy. Oh, there's another replication. Put those ones together. Those 2 are signed. And then the Mountain Giant. Really cool. Hey, what's up, Cosmic? Yeah, man. I usually can't stream like in the middle of the afternoon like this, but I'm going to try to go live Sunday morning for the next pack break. So keep an eye out. We got the Frost Nova. Really marked up on this one. They were playing with a lot of different techniques. Changed it to splash damage, and he had the splash damage effect, which I believe now is changed, right? If we go back to Francesca's cards for the Frost Nova, yeah, they took away the grid, and it just freeze nearby enemy minions. They're disabled until your next turn. So it's pretty interesting. This used to deal damage as well. Deal damage to minions and avatars around your spellcaster. Tap damage minions. They do not untap next turn. Damn, so that's pretty stifling. And look at that. This is really cool. I'm glad I gave away a bunch of these to Patreon supporters. Probably like almost 2 years ago. I never sold any of these. I just gave them away. You know? And this was the original card, right? So they had the grid. This is where you stand as the spellcaster, and you do the splash damage around the spellcaster. So it says splash damage, and then they toyed with the idea of simply saying deal splash damage, you know, just to streamline the text. And you see what he did here is the range kind of narrowed, right? They got rid of the 1 damage 2 steps away, and they went with just the 3 damage 1 step away. And then in alpha, they did away with that entirely, and it was only a freeze effect. There was no damage effect. All right, Sunday when you open a specific box. What do you mean? I'll be opening a sample pack, my man. Sample packs. It'll be an American one. Not this exact pack, but we'll open one of those Sunday morning. That'll be pretty cool. All right, so we're moving on to Margaret Organ Keen, huh? All right, so let's set that aside. And before we do that, I forgot I was going to show you guys one of the Spellcraft cards. So let's take a quick look. Oh, Sozi is center point? Oh, what's up, man? Yeah. Yeah, I do need to open a specific box. Let me know. Yeah, let's talk later if you want me to reveal what that is on Sunday, or if there's a different timing concept that you had in mind. All right, so here's the Binder of Dreams. And people are blowing me up on Discord. You know what? If someone could share this this link in the official Sorcery Discord, or the Facebook group for Sorcery. I forgot to do that. So I only posted it in my Discord and the Facebook community group. So we're probably missing some people that might want to hang out. So here you have the Brian Smith card, man. And this is the only one that I know of that is out there. And again, there you go with that legendary mechanic. Legendary or legendary rarity. Legendary magic of massive destruction. The Fiery Inferno. Play at the intersection, and actually, so he called this, shoot, I've talked to Brian about this several times. He had a different name for it. Do any of you guys remember what it was? I know I've talked to several of you guys about this particular card. It wasn't called Fiery Inferno. It was Genocide. I think it was Genocide. Something like really aggressive and edgy. That's what Eric was calling it when he commissioned it. And it says, play at the intersection of 4 squares. At the beginning of your turn, Inferno deals 7 damage to everything on those sites. So pretty sick card. Once known as Genocide is when it was commissioned. Becomes Fiery Inferno. And there you go. It's a Spellcraft card. You know? So those are very, very rare. It's an interesting historical relic there. Yeah, there's a lot of cool things. There's a couple Pudge Butchers. Oh, I'm pretty zoomed, aren't I? I got a lot of Spellcraft cards. Bought a whole lot of them from one of the people that worked on the game very early on. Got a really cool collection. I don't have a lot of like regular sorcery cards, guys. I have a bunch of curios from Alpha. I think like 1 or 2 from Beta or something. I don't know. And then just some crazy shit, like a lot of sheets, uncut sheets, foil, non-foil, a lot of artist proofs. It's a bunch of wild stuff. Fireland of Freets, Spellcraft cards, early playtest cards, Peasant Rebellion, and I don't think I had Hunting Party. Yeah, look at the Highland Titan. Let's take a look at the Highland Titan from Spellcraft era. Let me take a look at how this changed. This is kind of interesting because we were just talking about that. So if I go to the website and look at Tony Sudlow. Yeah. So first off, the name changed to Raytonus Titan. And Eric mentioned in the Discord ages ago that term Raytonus, that came from the Wraith class in Path of Exile. Someone asked him, like, do you have any like influences from Path of Exile that are readily discoverable and apparent in the in sorcery in general? And he mentioned that Raytonus Titan, right? So it was called Highland Titan once upon a time, and I don't know if I have a. Let me see if the early Atlas. Yeah, here you go. Here's a the early playtest cards had the different regions on the map, right? So here we had Highland, Midland, Firelands, and Unland. And those ended up being removed on the final print for Alpha. These regions were not labeled, but the card titles still had them, which is really cool. You know, in some of the cases, like you have the Unland Angler, you know, for example, the Drew Tucker card is really cool. So anyway, this Highland Titan completely changed. It used to be play at the intersection of 4 squares. The Titan occupies 4 squares at the same time. And now, in Alpha, it's simply Genesis, strike each enemy here. So it deals its blow of 6 damage to every enemy as soon as it comes into play at that location. So really, really interesting. It used to be 7 damage instead of 6. So that changed quite a bit. Even on that error card too, that was different. So to speak, error card. Look at these little guys. Did you know I had these? I forgot I had these. I love these little foot soldiers. So we have Spellcraft foot soldiers. Let's slide one of these out. Look at that. Look how badly cut it is. The Spellcraft foot soldiers. Just for scale, let me show relative to a normal size card. So this is when, you know, as legend has it with these foot soldiers, they were initially printed half size. And then Eric says, when he said it, he told the factory twice that they needed to be half size. They misunderstood him and thought they meant half of the half. And that's how they ended up becoming quarter size, or even smaller than this. So that was a funny little change. And then they really liked it. You know, it worked well because like when you overlay it on the card, you saw how much surface area half size covers up. When it's quarter size, you can see more of the underlying card. So that's what they went with for the final alpha. What are the 3 cards above Fireball? Let me go back. I don't know if you're on delay. The comment just came through after I flipped the page. Yeah, the 3 cards above Fireball, that is Rolling Boulder, guys. This is an alternate artwork from Doug Kovacs. Of course, you know Jussie Pilkus has the Rolling Boulder in Alpha. This is another Rolling Boulder. So this is a second example we've seen on the stream today where we have an alternate artwork for the same commission title. This one's pretty hilarious because this guy's like running away from this boulder screaming down the side of a mountain or something. So, and the effect's quite different too. It says choose a starting site and a direction. The boulder rolls 1 step at the start of each turn. So it's turn-based. It doesn't just pierce the realm all in one shot. It's 1 step at the start of each turn and deals 5 splash damage on squares it rolls to. Wow. That's wild. Big change on that one. Doomsday Prophet made it in, right? Anyway, I got off on a wild tangent here on these. And I got some artist proofs up in here. Let me see. Not that many. Oh, there's someone. Okay, so I got a Key Theorem Mechanism. Got some promos. There was I acquired a lot of different stuff. Look at these. There was I thought I had a proof in here. I want to show you guys this proof. Maybe it's elsewhere. Uh-oh. The baby has awoken. I might have to call it soon. Imminently. Just won a game with Rolling Boulder last night. Yeah, Rolling Boulder is a sick card. Very effective. Sophie! We got problems. I might have to pack it up. So guys, Sunday morning, you're about to get some screaming baby action. Sunday morning, we're going to try to roll it back at 11:30 a.m. So a lot of early playtest cards here. 11:30 a.m. we will do sample pack break number 15. And then there's 4 slots left for 16. If you want to get in on that, just go to the Linktree link in the description of this video. Also, if you want to thumbs up the video, I always forget to say that. Not many people give me the thumbs up on my videos. So it's hard to grow if you don't get thumbs up. It helps with visibility for newcomers who might want to subscribe to the channel and check out the content. But Sunday morning, yeah, I don't have anything sensitive. Oh, I do, I guess. Sunday morning at 11:30 Eastern time, we're going to try to take a look at come in 1 minute sample pack break. And it is the Grid Lord, man. That one's epic. We're gonna do a sample pack break, right? Number 15. There's 4 slots left in 16, so go to the Linktree, join the Collector Arthouse Discord. The best curio ever. And there's 4 slots left for 16. We'll probably do that in a few weeks. More curios. I don't know. We got all types of crazy shit here. Braum, artists, signatures from my ex last year, Oh, this is the first box I ever opened. It wasn't a very good box, guys. Oh, there's a Corden Tice. How about that? Hey, there you go, Centerpoint. One of the first altars ever done by Centerpoint on the Discords. Promos, more signatures. I could have sworn I mailed this to someone randomly, and then I couldn't find evidence that I had, so that's unfortunate. Every once in a while, I like to just do random things like that. Let me know if you got one of those from me. I got to keep a better record and inventory of who I sent stuff to. So we got a couple Relentless Crowds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Alpha Curios. There's an Alpha Curio. There's an Alpha Curio. Beta Curio. And an Alpha Curio. Nice. Nice. Curios are pretty sweet. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in on No Notice. And hopefully, if the wife's feeling okay, Sunday morning, 11:30 a.m. Eastern. Hope to see you there. It'll be a good time. We might have a guest or two. You never know what you might see on a Collector Arthouse Live. Sometimes I like to show like interesting things or interesting people. So try to tune in, and we'll talk soon. Take care.